Alrighty guys, it is that time again. Toy Story 4 sets were recently revealed, and you know I love my LEGO Toy Story. So I figured now would be a good time to go back and look at some of the sets. This one was obviously easiest to rebuild, so that's why I did it first. Hopefully I'll be able to go through all the regular Toy Story sets, not including the Distraction figures, because the Buzz that I have, the stickers are absolutely, and I'll probably need to buy new stickers for that at some point. And I might not do the spaceship again, just because, well, A, I'm having a sticker issue that I might solve, and B, that's the only one that I've reviewed recently. The other ones I have not reviewed well on my channel at all. But that one, maybe we'll put together a Toy Story playlist, and I'll include that video in that playlist. But to start off with, taking a look at some of the older Toy Story sets, I figured, where better to start than Woody and Buzz to the rescue. You might know this, you might not. This is actually one of the sets that got me into LEGO in the first place. So, that's kind of owe a lot to it for that. But this set was released in 2010 as part of the first wave of LEGO Toy Story. And the set contains 92 pieces and retails for $19.99. That's 21.7 cents per piece. So, the price per piece is actually not fantastic, but you do get two minifigures here of both Woody and Buzz. And yes, you will see this up close. Some of the printing on these is not in mint condition, because yes, I was a kid when I first got this. I've had it since. I do have other copies of some of these minifigures, but I'll explain a little bit more when we look at the figures on that. But we'll start out with just the build here. No need to cut or transition or anything, because the build is just one build and it's relatively small. And we'll start even right off with the first play feature, got a pull back motor. So you pull it back, and it lasts a long time when it's not actually on there. And this is an old pullback motor and it still works really well. You saw that, it's going crazy. Yeah, it's still pretty powerful for an 8-year-old pullback motor that was used a lot when the set first came out and it was first built. The one thing that you did notice there is that I ended up knocking this backwards a couple times in that quick pullback demonstration, just because it is just on a hinge, so it's not like the most securely attached. It doesn't go any further than that forward. It's not blocked by Woody at all. That's by design the furthest it can go forward, which is appropriate, because that is appropriate for how far it does on the actual RC. I think it looks best at an angle kind of like that, but you can just leave it there and it works perfectly fine. And the actual design of RC here is really nice compared to the in-universe design. You do have the window of the RC car. It's not even supposed to be clear because it's just a simulated window, so on the actual RC it is black. And Woody can just sit up there on this 2x2 section of studs, and this whole assembly is only connected by those 4 studs in the back, so it does come off easily, which does mean that you're not gonna if you trash this off a, maybe it rolls off my desk and it falls to the ground, this is the only thing that'll come off. It'll just crash like that, and maybe that, and then this still stays together really well. So maybe if you want to play really rough with it, just remove those, and then nothing is gonna fall off this. This is built really sturdily, and then you just have those 2 separate sections. And the printing on these bricks is exclusive. It's basically the same, just mirrored, but it is really, really solid printing. Like, they print basically seamlessly over the side. It looks really, really, really good, and I actually was very impressed when I pulled this back out. I didn't realize how great the printing on that was, and it just looks really, really nice. We've seen the 2019 RC. It's a lot smaller, but the printing is not as impressive as this, so that's a plus for this one. Also, the eyes on this one are a really clever build. They use this lime green frying pan to attach it and then have dishes inside each other. And from the front you don't get the blue at all, but from any slight angle you get a little subtle hint of the blue, and it works really well. And these are on bars, so they can be rotated to kind of give it a little bit of expressiveness. Just a slight amount, but it works really well. You could also pull one up if you wanted to make it look like, I don't know, maybe a little confused. I don't know. You can get a little bit of expression with these being on those frying pans, so I like that, and I think that works well. And this creates a really, really great shape for his kind of like bumper slash kind of his mouth. It works really well. And the tires are different sizes. They look good. It does have a antenna piece here. And note that this is the more modern style of clip that I put on here. It comes with the older style that has the, goes smooth. It doesn't curve down around the clip part itself. I just had to replace it because my original one was actually broken. I noticed when I pulled this out of storage. And this was falling out all the time, and I was like, I wonder why that is. Is that just bad design? No, it was just a bad clip. So this actually does stay in relatively well. And obviously, it will come off easily if it runs into something. Like if you're driving and you run into that, this will just pop off. And, that's a good thing because that means that it won't, bend out of shape when, when it's hit. You can call that good, call that bad, whatever. It is by design. And last up for exclusive prints on the build itself is this big panel here. Again, it looks really good, and I like the angles on the sides. Overall, RC I think looks great, and he's got some good play value to him. So I'm a big fan of the way that this is built up. And you do also get the Big One rocket for Buzz. And this is attached pretty cleverly. You can't attach it to Woody, which makes sense because Woody wasn't attached to the rocket in the movie. But you got this jumper plate, or jumper Technic pin piece. It's the 2x2 tile with Technic pin on it. And that just attaches to the one stud that is designed into the back of Buzz's armor, and it just works really well. It suspends off the ground like in the movie, and the color scheme on this is good. You got the red. This rocket base is actually really uncommon. It only appears in this set and an Ultimate Build Mater. Only reason I know that is because this broke on my original copy of the set, so I had to get a replacement. And for some reason, when I requested the replacement for Broken Brick, they were like, nah, you can't order it from this set, it's out of stock, but it was perfectly in stock on the other one, even though it's exactly the same part. It was a little weird. But that was from when this set was still kind of on shelves. It's 2012 or 2013 or something. And you also get the red on the top of the rocket, and you get this cool print here for the Big One rocket. It's good. And it is exclusive to the set, so it's kind of cool. And this here is a copy of what a played with version of the 2010/11 Buzz would look like. The buttons on here did tend to rub off some of the printing pretty easily. This is one of my better condition surviving originals from 2010. I do have a mint copy of this from the one set that I had to buy later, which was the Buzz's Star Command spaceship. So, that I bought, when I was not a kid playing with sets. So, that one is still in perfect condition. But this one, is the one that came with this set, as far as I know. It's the one that I kept with the set, at least. So, I assume that this is that one. And, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's not awful. And, that is really only going to be noticeable up to you on camera. In real life, as far back as I am, I guess you can kind of see it on this red button, but on the other ones it doesn't really stand out. And the face is a molded head, which is cool. I like it. It looks pretty accurate, but I also like the modern updated version that they're doing with the Disney series and the Toy Story 4 sets. I think they're both good, so not upset with the change back to non-molded heads. It does have this glass piece which attaches via these really small pegs, and that is kind of hard to put in and take out, but it can be done. The face, printing on there looks good. He only ever got this expression plus the dirty Buzz expression, which I know Just Too Good has a copy of that where they didn't print the dirt on it, so it actually has an angry Buzz, which is cool. But this is the standard facial expression for him. The armor piece is really cool. Aside from the fact that it can be it's not the most durable in terms of printing design on there, it actually has these wings that come out separately. So you can have him without the wings. It's a little bit tough to take in and out, but you can just have the armor piece, and then you can pop the wings out. It is a possible play feature, but I don't think it's really intended for you to be doing that all the time, just because it is a little bit difficult. These two wing pieces are exactly the same, because this one has the red on this side, and it has the green on the other side, and vice versa. And the tips of these, as you can see a little bit of right here, also did not have the most durable printing, but I think that's mainly because of the surface that they're on, and not just because of the printing quality. I think anything, you'd be hard pressed to print something on an edge like that'll be rubbing up against stuff and have it stay forever, really. But he does get printing on his torso, which in the Disney CMFs it only got that small section down there. This is actually bonus printing, so that's cool, I guess. You can't see it at all, but there's even back printing on there, which again, completely unnecessary and invisible when you put the stuff on. The legs are pretty nicely done as well, but with it all together, makes a pretty good looking Buzz Lightyear. And this was really, really great for the year it came out. I think the molded head is really, really good, but I do think that I prefer the version from the Disney CMFs at this point, just because the added arm printing on that is really awesome. It's a shame the Toy Story 4 one will not get arm printing, unless one version is said that hasn't been revealed yet will have arm printing for some reason, but I imagine they're going to keep that exclusive to the Disney CMFs. But either way, it is a really cool figure, and I'm very happy with the way this turned out. I do wish that the buttons, had been a little bit more durable, or maybe I had just been a little bit more careful with my Toy Story sets. There are a couple figures that I might end up rebuying just because I want to have one in perfect condition. But most of the figures from back then, I do have at least one really good looking copy. And here we have Woody, and this Woody is, a very unique looking minifigure, just because there's so much special about him. With Buzz, it was a little bit more standard. This one, he's got these tall legs, which are, one stud taller than regular minifigure legs. And his arms are actually longer as well. If we just compare that to Buzz's arms, you can tell these are way longer, and that's to make it still look proportional with the new legs. The printing on the new legs is pretty good. Actually, stayed on there pretty well. This little corner of the foot is slightly imperfect, but it still looks good. This much further in the future, it does have a little bit of printing on his hips as well. And the torso print on there is really good. The new one has really good torso printing as well, the Junior's one, but he does not get the tall legs, so he'll just be a regular minifigure height, which I don't mind. I really like this, but I think, the way they're going with the regular minifigure heads, I think that it would have looked a little weird with longer legs. I'll probably test it out once I get the new Toy Story 4 one. But he does also have this head mold, which is really tall compared to a minifigure head. But again, that makes him a little bit more proportionally accurate. I'm not the biggest fan of his mouth expression. It works well, but I think I do like the mouth just from the Junior's Toy Story 4 one a little better. But the rest of the molding on this is really, really good, and it's pretty accurate and works really well. These on the Jessie ones, the little stitching around the brim of the cap is printed, and those rub off really easily. But on Woody, it's not supposed to be printed at all. So this is pretty good condition and holds up pretty well. So there we have it. That is set number 7590, Woody and Buzz to the Rescue, from the original Lego Toy Story line. One of the few sets based off of the first movie, and I think it came out really, really well. This is, one of my favorite sets of all time, so I am very biased, but I do really, really like the way that a lot of, a lot of this build came together with the prints. I think the use of these was very, very appropriate, and I'm glad they were printed pieces and not stickers. The pullback motor is a cool little feature. It does bump up the price a little, I think. I'd imagine they probably could have done this as a $15 set without the pullback motor. And, I think $20 on paper seems a little bit but if you compare this to some other, more modern stuff, well, I guess, for example, we'll compare this to the Buzz roller coaster thing. I forget the exact name, from Toy Story 4. That is a 4+ set. I think that this is a better set for $20. I think they have a similar amount of pieces. That one probably has a little more play value, but this one here, I think, is definitely way more iconic. The figure's really cool, and the older design of figure versus the newer design of figure, I'm gonna have to wait and reserve my judgment on that until I get my hands on the new figures. But I think on paper, this looks pretty good, and the proportionality of the figures, I think, is one of the strong suits of the older designs. But if we compare this to the newer RC, this one looks a lot better, but I think the value on the new one is really, really good, especially having little army men and little side builds, all being in a $10 set. I'm very excited for that set, and I'll probably compare the two once I get that one, once it comes out. But I think this is a really, really good set. It's very expensive on eBay, though, at this point, so I don't know if I would recommend picking it up. At that point, I would recommend just buy the new one, even though this one's better. The new one is a much better value than spending like $80 or $90 on one of these on eBay. That I can't really see. But, if that's what you want to do, go for it. I'm not going to stop you, because I do think that this is a great set overall. I just, would be nice if it was cheaper, and luckily we are getting a cheaper version of RC, if a little worse, coming in 2019. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.